A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
There have been times when I've been desperate and needed help from heaven, and this next man has actually been my help that has come in and swooped in and helped me. His name is Christopher Brohier. Christopher and his wife Amanda and their children are very dear friends to me and my husband. He is a highly regarded barrister. He's practiced law in South Australia for more than 42 years, although he doesn't look that old. He co-founded the Human Rights Law Alliance and remains as counsel assisting. He's involved in key freedom litigation. He represents Christian men and women in many cases where they have been discriminated against because of their faith. So he's actually a really good, handy man to have around. Today I want to speak to Christopher, though, about an inaugural Gender Healthcare Summit. So that's a big word. It's entitled Towards Holistic Care. So, Christopher, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Wendy. It's good to chat.
Tell us, first of all, what is the significance of this conference? Why do we need a conference that says towards holistic care? What's the issue that has brought us to this stage?
So, Wendy, you'd know that when you were at ACL, you did a lot of lobbying on the issue of kids being transitioned and the so-called affirmation model, where basically they're pushed on if they express a desire to be the opposite sex, opposite gender. The prevailing ethos put out by the self-named Australian Professional Association of Transgender Health, it's actually an activist organisation, was to push them on to puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and in the end, surgery. And you've done a lot of lobbying to politicians. We together were involved in a secret conference, if you like, in Adelaide a few years ago. But it occurred to some people in Adelaide that the politicians weren't listening. And so civil society had to step up. And it's an interesting fact just on South Australian stats, and you just got to be careful with stats, but since there's been more publicity about the problems with the affirmation model, the referrals to the gender clinic have started to drop. So the thinking was, among those who are promoting this conference, that let's do something public. Let civil society step up and put out the truth of what's happening in the world, because the world is moving away from this discredited affirmation model. Let's get some of the leading world experts here and put it out there and let parents and kids hear the truth. So that's the significance. This is the first public conference on this issue in Australia ever. And we have some of the world leaders here.
I looked at it. Yeah,
it's really important.
I tell you, I looked at the list of your keynote speakers, and it looks amazing. So just talk us through some of them, Christopher, because I think it's incredible that who you've got there.
Yeah, it's just we sort of pinch ourselves as to what's happening. So you have Helen Joyce. Helen has written the best-selling book Trans: When Ideology Meets Reality. I think it's got a different name now. And like Helen's one of these international high-flyers. She was the Economist British editor. She's been an education correspondent, finance editor. She's worked in Brazil, etc., etc. Like one of these international high-flyers. And she has very graciously agreed to come and be one of the keynote speakers. She runs now a group called Sex Matters, which says something which is absolutely obvious, that sex matters. We are male and female, genetically, chromosomally, and creationally. Genesis says God made them male and female. And so she's been leading in Britain and across the world, really, one of the leaders in pushing back against this corruption of science that says, look, you can choose what you are. So she's one of the keynotes, and the other keynote is Professor Rita Caltiala, who's a child psychiatrist from, I think it's Tampere University in Finland. Professor Caltiala led the pushback internationally against affirmation, the affirmation model. Finland is a national health system, And they started a gender clinic back in about 2015 because of governmental political pressure. And they were told, you follow the Dutch. So they went to the Dutch people and they got advice. And they were told, look, it'll be mostly young males from a young age who expressed a view wanting to be the opposite gender or sex, no psychiatric problems. When they started to open their clinic, they saw lots of prepubescent or early pubescent girls coming in with lots of other comorbidities. And so she thought something's wrong here. And they went to the national review body and they did a big review, and they've pulled right back from the affirmation model. Their first port of call is now counseling and psychological help for these kids. And if they go onto blockers, it's only a very limited number under very strict conditions. So she has been the world leader that has then led to things like the Cass Review, etc., in England, which has been another major change. So two really heavy, great speakers.
You've also got some Australian speakers, particularly I noticed you've got Gillian Spencer. Now, for anybody who doesn't know the story of Gillian Spencer, can you just update us a little bit on Gillian and perhaps where her story is up to at the moment?
Yeah, so Gillian Spencer is, I call her the face that launched 1,000 articles. She's one of these courageous Australian women, like you, like Tish Shelton and others, who stood up in the Queensland Children's Health Service and said, look, we've got to look at the science, what we're doing to kids in the gender clinic. And for her troubles, first she was given some directions about what she could or couldn't do. Then she was suspended. And now the news tells us that she's about to be terminated. And she has incredibly decided that she's going to keep speaking. She is a real a light in a dark place, and the cost has been tremendous. It looks like she'll lose a job, but it tells us that if we're going to change these things, as ever in the history of the world, it takes committed people who are willing to bear the cross in Christian terms.
Well, what do you hope to achieve from the summit? And particularly, I wanted to approach it from the point of view, there are Australian parents, many people will be listening now who are absolutely concerned about their children or a friend of their child. This is touching lots and lots of people in Australia. So, what do you hope to achieve, and what can Australian parents hope to have come out of this following the summit?
So first we want to inform. So we've got a good number of people coming, but you can still buy tickets. Tickets will close very shortly. You can go to the website www.casc.ltd/2025 event and buy your tickets. We want to inform people of the truth that the international move, the scientific move, is towards holistic care for kids who present with gender confusion. There is an underlying cause. And that is important, because if parents get that, then they can seek out help rather than going first to the gender clinics and being funneled. Secondly, the aim of the organisers is to see a shift in Australia away from the affirmation model and to holistic care. That is the absolute imperative for our kids, that when a kid comes and says, look, I want to be something else, they can be told, okay, let's leave that. Now let's talk. Let's find out what's going on in your life. And often there are lots and lots and lots of issues. And you know, and I've known now a number of young people who've transitioned and detransitioned. And as they look back, they realize that it wasn't their body that was the problem. It was how they thought of themselves as the problem.
Yes, and there's so much regret. Sorry.
That's right. And you can't change what you've done.
No.
So that they're the two issues: inform and then bring a change. And we hope that through parents understanding that in the end, the governments who have basically ignored this will be forced to change.
My next question was going to be, can listeners attend? But you've already just answered that. So if they want to attend, it's in South Australia, it's in Adelaide. I found it by I just Googled Gender Healthcare Summit 2025. Is that the best way for them to go to find it?
Yes, or you can put in casc.ltd, Coalition Advancing Scientific Care, Gender Healthcare. It's pretty high up on Google now. So you can do that, but do it quickly because tickets, because of catering and things, I think the organizer is saying the tickets sales will close shortly. So do it today or tomorrow, or even perhaps on Thursday, but do it quickly.
And tell me the dates, Christopher.
So the conference dinner where Gillian Spencer is speaking is on the 17th of October. And the conference itself is the 18th of October.
So people go to CASC, that's the word letters, CASC, or I Googled Gender Healthcare Summit 2025. Christopher, we're really grateful to you for what you do. You're not somebody who has necessarily personally been touched by this, but you have personally been touched by it because you care, because Jesus cares. And as you say, you and I have both seen young women particularly who have gone down this path, realised the mistake and just all too late been able to try and turn back. And it's a devastating and diabolical issue that we are facing here in our nation. So I'm very grateful to you. This is the inaugural Gender Healthcare Summit, everybody. I would really encourage you, if you have time to be able to go to something like this, you won't be sorry. You will hear, they're globally world-class speakers, and they are speaking about something that is really, really important. So Christopher Brohier, thank you so much for joining us. We're really grateful, and I personally am grateful just to catch up.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.